You've been told this hair loss is temporary and that it will grow back. And if you're on GLP-1, you've probably been reassured it's part of the process. But here's the problem. Not all hair loss comes back the same way. Some people recover fully. Others never quite get back to normal. And right now, you don't know which one you are. And by the time you realize, it may already be too late to fully reverse it. I am Dr. Almerie, weight loss surgeon and obesity specialist. In this video, I will show you where you are on that spectrum, what actually decides if your hair comes back, and how to improve your chances of full recovery. But most importantly, I will show you how to tell if this hair loss is truly related to GLP-1 drugs or something else entirely. Because if you get that wrong, you can spend months doing the right things for the wrong problem. Let's dive in. What your hair loss is showing you is not what's happening now. It reflects a stress signal that was triggered months ago. Because when your body goes through rapid weight loss, it reprioritizes energy and nutrients. It shifts them towards vital functions and away from processes it sees less essential, something like hair growth. And this is not something you could consciously control. So instead of growing hair, it shifts many hair follicles into a resting phase, all at the same time. And then, months later, they shed together all at once. That's why it can suddenly feel like it's accelerating. Now, at this stage, whether recovery is happening or still delayed is not always clear. New hairs start deep within the follicles, and they take time to reach the surface and even longer to become visibly noticeable. So for a period of time, you don't know whether things are improving or still getting worse. Now, most people hear temporary and assume it will all come back the same. But that's not what temporary actually means. It only tells you the process is not permanent. It doesn't tell you how complete the recovery will be. Because recovery exists on a spectrum from full growth to partial recovery to hair that returns but much thinner and much less dense. And where you land on that spectrum is not random. It is driven by biology, which means there is a way to read it. There are 4 signals your body is already showing that decides how your hair recovers. And as we go through them, you will recognize your risk and where you stand on that spectrum. The first is intensity, how fast you've been losing weight. Because the faster this has happened, the stronger the signal your body receives to shut hair growth down. The second is duration, how long you've stayed in that state. And the longer it goes on, the harder it is for the cycle to reset. And that is when recovery starts to become less complete. The third is your biological reserve, where you started, your baseline hair density, your age, whether you are going through menopause, and whether there was any thinning before this even began. Because if that reserve is already lower, your margins for full recovery are much smaller. The fourth is your nutritional resilience, whether your body is still getting what it needs, especially proteins and key micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. Because even small gaps here can quietly push you further down that spectrum, even when you don't feel it's happening. So when you look at your situation, you're not just losing hair, you are moving along a spectrum. And where you sit on that spectrum decides your risk, how likely your hair is to recover, and how much you need to do to bring it back. But here is the key point. How you react at this stage often determines what happens next. And this is exactly where most people make it worse. They add supplements, change things randomly, hoping to fix it. But this is not about taking more. It's about identifying what's missing and correcting it with precision. And that is exactly what we are going to discuss next. So when it comes to recovery, the first step is controlling the stress signal, which means slowing down the rate of weight loss. Because the stronger that signal is, the more likely this process continues. But even when you start to control that, what you do next becomes critical. Because this is where many people feel they are doing everything right, but still don't see things improving. And the reason is they are working in the wrong order. There are 3 layers to do this. And if you get the order wrong, everything that follows loses impact. The first layer is protein, because hair is made of keratin, and keratin is built from protein. So when your body is under stress, it directs protein towards vital organs, not hair. Which means for recovery to happen, you need to have enough protein left over to rebuild. And if you are not hitting your target, use protein supplements like whey protein or protein drinks to close that gap. Aim for something around 1 to 1.5 gram of protein per kilogram of your weight per day. Because if you don't reach that consistently, everything else you do has a ceiling. Now, the second layer is micronutrients. These are the elements your hair depends on: iron, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and zinc. And this is where things quietly break down, because these deficiencies don't always show up. You don't feel them, you don't see them, but they are enough to keep the hair follicles in a stressed state and keep that shedding going. Now, this is where most people go wrong. They start adding supplements randomly, hoping something works. But this is not about adding more. It has to be structured. A multivitamin as a baseline, then blood tests to check your micronutrients levels. And if something is low, replace it with a targeted supplement. Not broadly, but precisely. But now you might be thinking, what about other supplements? Biotin, collagen, they sound logical. Biotin is involved in keratin production, and keratin is what your hair is made of. And collagen provides amino acids that support the environment around the hair follicle. So again, it makes sense. But this is where people get misled, because this type of hair loss is not primarily driven by a lack of biotin or collagen. It is driven by a stress signal of the rapid weight loss. So yes, they have a role, but only once the foundation is in place. They are supportive, not corrective. And that distinction is where most people get things wrong. I have linked 2 key research papers in the description that summarize the evidence around hair loss with GLP-1 and rapid weight loss. You can explore the evidence behind this in more details. Now, the next section is the most important part of this entire video. Before you assume your hair loss is just weight loss related, you need to stop and look at the pattern, because hair loss is not one condition. Different patterns mean different causes. Some are simple, temporary, and reversible. Others are more serious, and if they are missed, they can lead to permanent damage. So this next part matters, because I am going to show you how to recognize the pattern of hair loss you actually have. So when you speak to your doctor, you are not guessing, you are specific, you are targeted, and you are far more likely to get the right diagnosis and the right treatment. Now, this is where everything can go wrong, because not all hair loss on GLP-1 is caused by GLP-1. And if you don't recognize that, you can spend months treating the wrong problem. So for now, pause, look at the pattern. Is it diffuse, patterned, scalp related, patchy? Because that pattern tells you what to do next. I wanted to focus on 4 patterns of hair loss that can happen. Which one does your hair loss fit with? And once you see which pattern you fall into, you will understand what this is and what you should do about it. First, if what you are seeing is shedding from all areas, not one spot, but across the whole scalp, then this is the first pattern. Telogen Effluvium, a stress response triggered by things like rapid weight loss, surgery, illness, or psychological stress. Treatment goes back to the system we discussed: reduce the stress signal, restore protein, correct deficiencies. Because once these factors improve, the system gradually shifts back out of the shedding mode into recovery. But if instead you are noticing a different pattern, not shedding from everywhere, but thinning in specific area, then this is different. If it is receding at the front or thinning at the crown in men, or widening through the parting area in women, then this pattern points to androgenic alopecia. It is driven by sensitivity to androgen hormones. These hormones are made by both men and women. But if your hair follicles are more sensitive to them, they gradually shrink, and each new hair becomes thinner, shorter, and weaker over time. Now, unlike a stress response, this is not something that naturally reverses. It tends to progress, and without treatment, it could continue to worsen. This needs targeted treatment guided by your doctor, which may include topical treatments like minoxidil, or medications that reduces the level of these hormones or block their effect. Now, if what you are noticing is a change in the skin of the scalp itself, not just the hair, then this is different again. If there is redness, scaling, itching, or irritation, then often the problem may not be the hair itself. It may be inflammation of the scalp. This could be related to conditions like psoriasis or dandruff-related conditions like seborrheic dermatitis. And if that inflammation continues, it can cause permanent damage to the hair follicles. And once that happens, the hair doesn't come back. And this is not something you manage with supplements or by adjusting your diet. This needs a different approach. Medical treatment directed at the scalp to reduce the inflammation and protect the follicles. Now we reach the fourth hair loss pattern, and that one looks very different. This is the one that people find the most worrying because it doesn't cause general thinning or gradual pattern. It shows up as patches of complete hair loss. Well-defined areas where the hair has suddenly gone, leaving smooth skin underneath. This is called alopecia areata. It's an autoimmune condition where the body attacks the hair follicles and switches them off. This can happen quite suddenly, often without a clear trigger. It's not a nutritional problem and it is not caused by weight loss. It needs a different approach, targeted treatment aiming to calm the immune response to allow the follicles to recover. Hair may regrow, but the course can be unpredictable. So if what you are seeing are clear patches rather than diffuse thinning, this is not something to wait on. Raise it early with your doctor and have it assessed properly. So here is what this comes down to. Hair loss is not one problem, it is a pattern. And if you are on a GLP-1 medication, it may be driven by the stress of rapid weight loss. But it may also be something else. And recognizing that is critical because each pattern needs a different treatment. And if you get that wrong, you can spend months doing the right things for the wrong problem. Now, monitoring how your body is functioning under the physiological stress of weight loss is essential, but you can't see what's happening inside. And that is where lab tests come to work to tell you how your organs are functioning. And that's exactly what I will show you in the next video. The key lab test you need if you are on GLP-1 to understand what's happening inside your body and act early if needed. You need to stop guessing and start working with precision, taking control of what happens next. You can watch that video up here. I am Dr. Almerie. Thank you for being part of the conversation. I will see you in the next video. No guessing, just pure science and biology.